This is Julie at Love's Beginning, and I wanted to share an idea that came to me that was very helpful, and it's that hatred requires a landing place. Also, the idea wasn't just that hatred requires a landing place, it was, again, just like the last video, I'm not sure if the beginning was actually the beginning, but you didn't miss much anyhow. Because it looked like it started later. So anyhow, the idea that hatred requires a landing place. Along with that is the idea that any feeling of discomfort is the same as hatred. Annoyance, irritation, jealousy, depression, doubt, insecurity, rage, just your garden variety anger, fear, they're all forms of fear, and it's all the same thing. That's been a very helpful thing to me, for me to learn. And I realize whenever I feel the resonance of one of these things, if I think I'm seeing hatred out in the world, and I think that hatred out there is a problem, every time I bump into this resonance during my day, whether it's insecurity or irritation or jealousy or whatever form of negativity it seems to be, it's my hatred or fear or resistance. It's when I got attached to this illusion, I wanted to see everything as separate. And I can't see everything as separate unless I use hatred, unless I use fear to see everything as separate. I am not able to sustain the illusion of being capable of judging anyone or anything unless I'm using fear or hatred. I'm going to focus on the hatred to power my illusion. So here's the good news. It's the hatred that keeps me seeing everything as separate, with separate values. And whenever I bump into the resonance of that during my day, it's mine. And so the good news is I know what to do with that. It's mine if I think I see hatred out there in the world, because the world's reflecting it back to me. It's showing me I've been attached to hatred to continue to see things as separate over and over and over again, to continue to believe that I have the ability to judge good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, in anyone or anything over and over and over and over again. That's what human lifetimes are about. And from my perspective, it looks like I've had a whole bunch of them, and I kept doing the same thing like every second of every lifetime, and that's just a perspective. It's not necessarily the truth, but it works for me because I can feel like I'm so ready to be done with it. And so what I can do with my hatred is feel when I'm feeling it during the day, and it's the same thing I always say, but if it looks like the hatred is out there and you're feeling helpless or bewildered by it, or it really looks like someone else's, and you begin to judge that someone else for being so hateful, that resonance of disgust or doubt or uncertainty, even uncertainty is the same as hatred and fear. All of that's that negative resonance. I can realize right here I'm feeling what's wrong with the way I have always been operating as a human. Over and over and over and over and over again, making the same perceptual mistake. This work is silly. Over and over and over and over and over again. I died in this lifetime. I died in that lifetime. Who knows what I did, But it becomes very silly to see what you've been doing over and over and over again. You've been subscribing to this hatred. And it doesn't mean that you're a hateful person, or you move through life as a hateful person. It means very basically that hate is the illusion that's required to believe that I can judge anyone or anything. So that was like the first judgment. The first judgment was the belief that I do see separate things and experience separate things, and that I can judge them. And the last judgment is pretty much the only accurate judgment I can make about anyone or anything. All things are working together to help us wake up. Anyone at the core of their true being, they're pure, they're innocent, they're love itself, they're good. certainly doesn't look that way in the world I'm experiencing, right? I could be tempted to judge so many things, but when I am, first thing I feel is that negative, that resonance, and it's mine. And so in that moment is, when we can say, thank goodness, I can feel it. I can feel the mistake I've made in lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And in this moment, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to look at the thinking, because the thinking is the cause of the world. The world is experienced because of the thinking. And then I'm going to allow that thinking to dissolve, because the thinking is why I feel that resonance. And so I've gotten to this place because I want to feel good. And when I don't feel good, I realize that what I've been valuing more than feeling good is that I wanted to be right. I wanted to judge. And I needed hatred to do it, or fear, or insecurity. It doesn't matter which word you use. It's always the same thing. They're all variants of fear. They're all ways to see things as separate and to believe that you can judge them, to believe they're separate things and those separate things have separate value. So I've been using this to power the illusion. And all true power is shared. And all true power is benign. So when I'm aware that I'm having one of these negative feelings, and I go in to see the thinking that's associated with that feeling, I go into the true power source of all of us. And this is where it's so good, because there's really only one mind. We all share, and we're always connected to all minds across time and space. There's never a moment when we aren't. And it's only when we go back into this one of us, to this one pure innocent self, that we can sense and feel that connection. And when we allow our thinking to change, when we allow those thoughts to drop away that are associated with those feelings, that's when the burden on everybody, the conceptual burden, the emotional on everybody, is eased, because we're all touching. Our minds are touching all the time. So it's not even just in what I experience in the day-to-day when I'm interacting with people. It's every thought I have during the day, everybody I think of during the day, and it's nothing but opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. So somehow this idea that hatred requires a landing place, I have to be seeing things as separate. It has to land on this perceived separate thing that I've decided has this perceived separate quality. Am I looking at a victim, and am I looking at a victimizer? What am I looking at? Now, it's scary to the ego to contemplate giving up this whole framework for judgment, because what the ego will say is that you can't know where you are or who you are or what's safe or who anybody else is if you're not judging. But what comes up in its place, like this floor you can stand on, is just the sense that you are cared for and you are loved and you'll know what to do next, and that you're safe, and you're guided. So as we let go of what we don't need, this sense of safety comes in. And there are these intense points where it seems very hard to let go of what I've been so used to hanging on to for safety, that ability to judge, that idea that I need to see things as separate. So they're almost like these crisis points where the pain is intense and the fear is intense. But always in the wake of that, I remember I just have to go in and release the thinking. Then it's like whoosh, there's an expansion, and there's more certainty that that foundation I'm standing on is the true thing, is the real thing. And I can trust it. And when I can trust that foundation of the love we all are, of our shared identity, then I don't need separate concepts, and I don't need judgments, and I don't need all the chatter of the ego to tell me what's going on. So the idea that we see hatred outside of us, or that this has come up for discussion in our world right now, And the idea that we're being invited to see a history of hatred and unfair treatment, or we're being invited to see how it might be alive in us right now, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because the dysfunction is alive in us and we can do something about it right now. And it's always the very same simple technology of allowing the thinking to go and allowing something else, something that connects us all and gives us a sense of safety and being loved, to replace it. If we feel safe and loved, then we're capable of expressing that love and extending that love to others. So I think that's it. Thanks a lot.